Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Nerdy Multiverse. All the way back in 2011, we saw the introduction of Steve Rogers, Captain America, into the MCU, as he built up a trilogy of his own, while he held the mantle of Captain America, which ultimately brought us into Avengers Endgame. After all of the fighting and the time traveling was done, Steve was no longer fit to keep the title or mantle. So he decided to hand it down, along with the vibranium shield that comes with it, down to Sam Wilson. And after some time had passed, Disney Plus started producing Marvel television shows. One of these would be Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And despite some negative feedback regarding that show, it was actually one of my favorites to come from all of the Disney Plus Marvel shows. We saw Sam struggle and doubt himself when it came to actually becoming Captain America. And we would also be introduced to other characters such as Isaiah Bradley, a forgotten Captain America from the old days, who would serve as a mentor to Sam Wilson. This series would ultimately end with Sam donning a brand new suit and mastering the shield and finally claiming the title of Captain America. It was only a matter of time before Anthony Mackie got his very own solo movie. And it's finally here with Captain America: Brave New World. Within this past week, loads of critics and reviews have come out and it wasn't looking so good for this movie, as most critics and reviews were saying that this movie was just not good, and in some cases, terrible. But I decided to go see the movie for myself and form my own opinion, which I obviously highly suggest everyone else does as well. Have a good time at the movies and see what you think about it yourself. So, just to start off with a very short answer to this video's title, is Captain America: Brave New World actually bad? And that answer is simply no. At least, not in my opinion. Let me explain a bit further and in more detail, and tell you what I liked and did not like about this film. And of course, beware, as this video will contain spoilers. One of my all-time favorite aspects of this film is the dynamics built throughout it. Sam Wilson's relationships with everyone is just amazing and so well written. Whether it's the friendly banter or the mentorship between him and Isaiah Bradley, or him and Joaquin Torres. This idea of dynamics also leads into some very pivotal and honestly emotional scenes with Sam, as he still is seemingly struggling with the idea of being Captain America and having to quote unquote live up to Steve Rogers. And throughout this film, he feels like he just isn't good enough and like he should have taken the serum, or that he will never be Steve Rogers himself. But he is reminded by multiple people by the end of this movie that he is good enough. Steve picked him for a reason, and he is in fact Captain America, but also he is Sam Wilson. Steve Rogers did not pick Sam because he is the strongest. He picked Sam because he is a good person and he knows how to handle situations in his own unique way. He's not supposed to be Steve Rogers. He's supposed to be Captain America while also being Sam Wilson at the same time. There's no legacy that he has to really live up to because he is going to build his own legacy as Captain America. Sam looked up to Steve Rogers so much, which put pressure on him in the end. But the reassurance from Joaquin and Bucky when he gets a little cameo in this movie sets him up in the right direction. By the end, it's revealed that Joaquin looks up to Sam the same way that Sam looked up to Steve. A beautiful sort of full circle kind of moment. And that whole Captain America aspect is something that this film does so well. It really cements Sam Wilson as Captain America and lets everyone know that he will be a key part of everything in the future. He's going to end up putting the Avengers back together and being that glue and leader for them in the conflicts to come in the future in his own and unique way. I definitely had my favorite characters or standouts in this movie. 3 for certain. Of course being Sam Wilson himself, but also Everett Ross and Isaiah Bradley. Isaiah's past leaves him as a great mentor for Sam Wilson, but it also brings a very emotional side to the story, and he displays all of those emotions perfectly. And I really do hope that we get to see more of Isaiah Bradley in future projects. Anyways though, Ross, now played by the one and only Harrison Ford, is constantly building up anger throughout this movie, and that is also displayed perfectly. But all in all, Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson is the absolute best part of this movie. He gives an incredible career performance and approaches every situation with empathy and really cements himself as Captain America, but also proves to himself and everyone else that he is not trying to be Steve Rogers. He is his own person, a person anyone could aspire to be, and that is great. I will also add on that Joaquin Torres, the new Falcon, is also another great character and stands as a very entertaining and charming sidekick for Sam Wilson. The villain is an aspect that comes along with any superhero film, and in this movie, we had the return of the leader. After a very long 17 years, he finally returns. He does don a little bit of a different look, which looked a little bit iffy, especially compared to the original design, but it is what it is. If you remember Captain America Civil War, then you remember Baron Zemo. The leader will definitely give you Zemo vibes, as he pulls all of the strings in the background, discreetly but also very creepily. Unfortunately though, I do think that he was not built up or developed enough throughout this film, especially after being missing in action for 17 whole years. This film is practically a political thriller, one that sort of tries to return to a bygone era in the MCU, you could say. It has absolutely wonderful character writing when it comes to Sam Wilson that kind of returns you to the Winter Soldier days. There was actually some great high stakes feelings in this as well, where you would wonder, how are these characters going to actually get out of this situation alive? Which we don't get much of in superhero stuff as of recently. The music was also great, and of course, we had the GOAT, Kendrick Lamar, a part of the soundtrack. The action was also great, as it always seems to be when it comes to Captain America films. And the visuals, at least for Red Hulk, were honestly mind-blowingly good. I do not think a Hulk-esque character has looked that good in a very long time. It really dedicates itself to being a brand new Captain America story, and not just another Steve Rogers sequel, which I'm really happy to see because Sam Wilson is an absolutely wonderful character. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, no, this movie is nowhere near as bad as critics have been saying, but it is also not the greatest. I sort of think of it as a film similar to Iron Man 2 in a way. It's a very entertaining watch, but it is also pretty messy at times. Most of the visuals were spot on throughout the entire film. Of course, there were some wonky moments that happened super quickly, but towards the end you can definitely see longer scenes that are very questionable when it comes to the green screens. Now, I don't want to get into certain topics or characters if you know what I'm talking about, but there was some mediocre acting scenes with a certain character in this movie who I also thought got a little bit too much screen time, but besides that, everyone else was absolutely great throughout this movie. I would say that some of the fight scenes are cut in a weird way, but that honestly does not take too much away from them because they were all still great. But again, the leader was also just not handled the best in my opinion, and sort of just comes and then goes after being gone for 17 years. Now, I did like seeing Giancarlo Esposito in this movie, as anybody would. But his entire organization not really being explored much was pretty strange to me, especially because it's the literal Serpent Society. But the reasoning behind this likely would be tied to the movie being renamed multiple times and the rumors of there being reshoots, as the Serpent Society were originally going to be the main villains, as was the very title of the film, until it was all changed. So in a way, it's like they still wanted to incorporate them, but it was just in a smaller way. Basically, there was just a little bit of messy writing and questionable aspects of the story sprinkled throughout a very entertaining movie. When it comes to the Red Hulk, he was absolutely wonderful, but I wish we just got to see a bit more of him. Basically, everything that we got to see from the teasers and the trailers is what we get to see in the movie, which is okay, as I am sure we will be seeing more of him in the future. At least, I hope so. Now, after I got done seeing this film, I thought to myself, why do we not have another Hulk movie yet? And yes, I know, it's probably because of all of the legal issues behind it. But we have the leader in Red Hulk emerging into the MCU, and instead of fighting the Hulk, they're going up against Captain America. Which honestly, yes, I'm fine with, but it would be super cool to see Hulk go up against Red Hulk, which hopefully we do get to see in the future though. And of course, I didn't really have too many issues with the main part of the film. Obviously, it was a bit messy here and there, but man, was the post-credit scene just stupid. Basically, Sam goes to visit the leader on the raft, the same exact prison that Ross is now being held on as well, which in itself doesn't make too much sense because Ross was turning into the Red Hulk and growing enraged because of the leader. So I'm not sure why they're locked up in the same exact prison together. But anyways, Sam meets with the leader who basically tells him that it's coming, and he has seen it in every probability ever. In summary, he's practically telling Sam that there is a multiverse and that there are other planets that they will have to defend against in the future. This was just so dumb to me, and you may be wondering why? Well, it's because we literally just got through the multiverse saga. We had an entire Doctor Strange film focusing on the multiverse, and the MCU has spent quite some time establishing the cosmic side recently as well. So in turn, this post-credit scene really serves zero purpose, other than to remind everyone that, hey, there's a multiverse, by the way, and it's probably gonna lead into a giant battle sometime soon. Now, I don't want to sound like a complete hater of this movie just for a post-credit scene, because I'm not. So, that's besides the point. I believe that is all I have to say in depth about the movie, and what I did not like. Overall, Captain America Brave New World is a pretty good watch, completely action-packed, and a great new story for our new Captain America. And I seriously cannot wait to see more of Sam Wilson as Cap. I absolutely love it. Anyways though, I believe I would give this movie a 6.5 or 7 out of 10. I do definitely recommend that you go and see the film if you haven't already. But yeah, that about does it for Captain America Brave New World for me. If you have seen the movie yourself as well, make sure to leave your thoughts on it down below. It's been a while, but we should be back on track as tons of shows and movies are coming out soon. So we should be seeing you all sooner rather than later. With that being said, thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like on it. We will see you all the next time that we go through and explore the nerdy multiverse.